podcast sometimes has offensive language and touches upon adult subjects.
Welcome to the CNC Connection, the all-in-one podcast that touches on a variety of topics ranging from sports to TV shows. Here are your hosts, Colin and Corey. All right, hey guys, welcome to episode 2 of the CNC Connection. I'm Corey Moquin, and this is my associate, Colin Hensel. Today we're talking some Mad Men, Game of Thrones, and we're going to do some NBA basketball. So first up, we'll talk some Mad Men.
Yeah, this was kind of a big episode. How many episodes are left?
Mad Men 2,
yeah.
I think.
2 episodes of Mad Men left.
This is episode 11, so yeah.
Yeah. A lot of big stuff happened. How did it start out?
Well, what's her face? Joan was, no, they were discussing Joan being a prostitute, basically, at dinner.
That's how it started. Oh, yeah.
Pretty much.
Is that the big thing you wanted to tell me when you watched it initially?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
This is huge.
Yeah.
For Mad Men.
Yeah, so that's how it starts, and that's the main kind of conflict this episode, is Joan being the subject of the desires of the Jaguar executive.
Yeah, he's one of the board members. They needed 3 votes, and he's one of them. So they wanted to, Pete wanted to get everyone on board, pretty much.
Yep, and Pete, the conniving bastard that he is, usually skeeving his way into things, and I don't know how he does it, but goes to Joan, no shame whatsoever. And
no, he just pretty much did it. And I think the way they set it up is that he kind of went around everyone's back. Like, from what I gathered from that whole engagement at the dinner, the guy didn't really. He definitely wanted to, fuck Joan, but it didn't make it an ultimatum. Like, Pete made it out to be an ultimatum.
Yeah, I feel like this has happened in other past meetings like that at dinner, where they're like, "Oh, you show me a good time," or something like that, where they end up going to a whorehouse or something.
Yeah, a brothel or something.
Yeah, but he said, I forget what the exact words he used, but it was it would be very beneficial.
Yeah, he said
your case.
Accidents happen or something like that. Something along the lines of that.
Mm-hmm.
No guarantees. That's what he said.
Yeah, but yeah, you almost wonder what they do to the other agencies, and if there was another Joan in another agency where they don't
definitely
get it.
step up having Miss Busty on board.
Yep, and I know right immediately. Did we talk about this during the episode where we were saying we thought that she was going to end up doing it, and that they wouldn't get Jaguar anyways?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I initially thought was going to happen, was she would end up doing it and then not getting Jaguar.
Would have been a good twist if they done that.
Yeah.
Or not.
But, and there's really nothing I can argue Jaguar about because it's prostitution. So.
Yeah.
But I did like that whole conflict. It really makes you think what your values are really worth. And your morals and how you feel like.
Yeah, well, Don seemed to be the moral, taking that moral high ground,
mm-hmm.
And that's kind of a off for his character, considering he's committed countless
mm-hmm.
acts of adultery.
Yeah, I was reading up a little reviews today, and something probably had to do with the fact that his mom was a prostitute. So
yeah, that's a good point too. Well, yeah, I hadn't thought of that at all.
Yeah, I didn't think about that until today. So I'm sure that had a lot to do with it. The fact that they just voted, Pete was able to swing the vote as soon as he left the room, like Don always does. Like, no.
Yeah, Don. That's what kind of I don't like about Don, is that he's he just left. I feel like that's not a good thing to do. But then I'm just getting into nitpicking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that was a big thing. And then Peggy's storyline, which was basically she felt there was hinting at her being left out a bit all season, being taken advantage of. Ginsburg, who she's the supervisor of, is they pretty much give him all the benefits of her work, sort of.
Yeah.
Like that she pitched
She came up with that, like, last-ditch...
I forget what the product even was. Yeah.
I forget what it was for, too.
It was for cologne, I think.
Yeah.
But they were switching. It was for... They
Men.
switched it to men or something. Or they switched it to women to market it towards. Yeah, and then...
So that kind of planted the seed when Don gave Ginsburg credit. And then Peggy, she's kind of been stepped on in this whole uprising. I mean, Don has the point. He gave her all this opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she was basically running everything in the company. She was basically doing Don's job while he was doing Jaguar. So...
And she's just looking for a little bit more credit. Mm-hmm. And she wasn't even asking for a raise, really. She just wanted credit. It's more about, like...
yeah, I think she wanted responsibility and recognition.
Yeah.
And
with the moving women's rights and stuff, she's kind of like the forefront of that.
Mm-hmm. I think, her and Megan trying to... Because that was the other major storyline, was Megan possibly getting a acting job in Boston, where Don was not happy about it.
Well, was it a job or just like a show out there?
I think it would have been a show, yeah.
Yeah.
So
she wouldn't be living out there.
No. Well, she would be for that time period.
But not like permanent.
No.
That's right. Yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, Peggy basically confronts Don and... Oh, no, she's like playing her cards close to her chest. She wants to expand like or move on, kind of, see if there's anything else better out there. Cause she's just had it with the whole Don thing. And apparently other agencies are really interested in her, so she goes and visits a couple... the rival agency.
Yeah, what's that guy's name? I feel like it's Tom something.
I don't know.
Yeah, he's been on... When that Don was up for the award that time, he was like the new up-and-comer kind of challenging Don. And Freddie Rumsen, was that the guy's name?
Rumsen.
That was...
he works for him, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, who worked back for Don a while back.
Yeah.
And, talked to Peggy about it, and...
Made him a better offer than, or whatever she was making before, made her a way better offer, and basically said, no, I'll give you 1,000 more just because I want you that bad.
Mm-hmm.
And she basically accepts it, confronts Don, and that's like the last scene after, because they got Jaguar after Joan did, they did a little twist where she actually, Don went and said, don't do it, you're better than that, or whatever. But she had already done it, apparently. The twist.
Yeah. Did you have any idea that? I kind of thought in my head that she...
had already done it.
Like, at first I thought like he was going to be in like her room.
Yeah.
But then I was like thinking that what if she already did it and she's just listened, like, and he's already too late. But after that it was confirmed by the twist. But,
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. You think she wouldn't have done it if Don got to her ahead of time?
I don't know. I think, like, she wanted to be a partner. I think she may have done it because she wanted to be a partner.
Yeah, that's pretty vague, especially for a single mother like she was about to be.
Yeah.
So,
But, going back to Peggy, she confronts Don after they make the announcement they got Jaguar, and she basically tells him no matter what, he even offered her a raise, but she was just dead set on leaving. And she did. She left the agency, and we don't know if that means she's off the show, or it could open up new opportunities. We could see like 2 agencies running at the same time now.
Yeah.
Obviously with the focus on Sterling.
I would be surprised if they did that for longer than this season.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think she'll be back eventually.
It could be. But maybe she, as an actress, just...
wasn't up
I can't imagine her not being wanted on the show, but not wanting to be on the show anymore. But maybe she does have better things going on out there. She's pretty good.
She's definitely got a lot going for her. People want her for working, and she's definitely progressed from the secretary from the first episode.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, so we don't really know what's going to happen next. Well, at least we have 2 more episodes at least, and we'll figure out what's going on with Peggy, and we'll follow that up next week. let's talk some Game of Thrones last night. It was episode 9, and very different episode from what we're used to.
Yeah, it was they focused specifically on King's Landing the whole time, which is very, I don't know, kind of refreshing, but also...
It's a breath of fresh air, I'd say, because usually we're just jumping around all over Westeros and across the ocean or whatever.
Yeah, I did like how it moved one storyline past this one huge epic battle.
Yeah.
But
because we had complained about that before, is that it seems like they just work away their round battles, so they don't have to show them and stuff to save money, obviously. But then finally, they gave us what we wanted, a huge epic battle. And honestly, it kind of left, like, we got what we wanted, but at the same time, it wasn't exactly what we wanted. We didn't know we were missing with the plots.
I feel like I liked the episode.
I liked the episode.
It's probably one of the better episodes. Obviously, it's just the most epic episode of Game of Thrones so far. But it's just the fact that there's one more left, and there's so much I want to see happen.
Basically, we just don't want to wait another year.
I'm glad they didn't wait till the final episode to do this huge battle.
I just
and
feel
then
like
miss tying up a bunch of loose ends. Yeah, but
I wish the battle was last week and they had 2 episodes to celebrate.
Yeah, I think that's perfect because 2 more hours I think they need. So.
At least 2 more hours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But let's go into the episode further. Starts off basically everyone's in King. They didn't even go anywhere else. It was just King's Landing and Stannis' ships, and they're in the castle, or no, they're in King's Landing before the battle, and everyone's just waiting for Stannis' fleet to arrive. And it was kind of this sudden feud between the dog and Bronn. It just kind of came out of nowhere. They didn't really have a rivalry before. It was it was cool because I wanted to see. Actually, after that, now I want to see the fight because I think it'd be a good one.
Yeah, that did kind of come out of nowhere. I wonder if in the book they kind of build it up more, but yeah, I'm trying to think of any instances where they kind of battled, but it was more of Bronn and the other Kingsguard, not the dog, the guy who later on slices Tyrion's face. Yeah. But yeah, that's how it starts off, and those two of my favorite, probably a couple of my favorite characters in the show, Bronn especially, and yeah.
This is more of an episode about, I think, because every episode has a certain character that they want to make the focus of, and this is I think this was the dog's episode. It was a really big what do you call it?
Character arc.
Yeah.
For him, it really was.
He started off as this badass, and then at the end he just turned into this more, I don't want to say coward, but more of a human, you know.
And he's still, even after he kind of pussies out, he still
is badass.
He's still acting like a badass to Sansa, saying killers rule the world and all that stuff. But I couldn't agree more about probably his episode of the whole series, because he goes from saying, if anyone dies with a bloody sword, I'm gonna rape your corpse.
Yeah, if your weapon's clean, he's gonna rape you.
Without.
Then he said to the archers, if any of that fire comes near me, I'm gonna. I forget what he said, but it was funny.
Yeah, and then it's just the fire. Obviously, the backstory with the dog is his head got shoved in fire by the mountain, which is his brother. Yep.
Yeah, it just pissed the dog off.
That's why he's got that huge scar. He's basically Frankenstein.
Yeah. He's just a mess, but he's a badass.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just killing people. Finally, he sees all this fire in him in the battle. And it gave hints beforehand, when he saw the wildfire destroy Stannis' fleet, he's just whoa, there's a lot of fire here, and I don't know if I can handle this.
Yeah, I didn't notice it at all until he got out onto the beach and was fighting.
Well, they had a couple shots of
his reaction.
The camera through the fire, and you could just tell there's a torch and they put a camera behind it, and you could see his face was oh my god,
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't notice that at all.
Well, I watched it again, parts of it again today,
Really?
just to follow up, because I wasn't sure about the whole Tyrion thing. when he was attacked.
Yeah, that was the big question we had, which is when they do, once they land and then Tyrion goes on the outside and flanks them.
Flanked them.
That one of the Kingsguard takes a shot at Tyrion, but no, he wasn't saved by Bronn. He was saved by his squire.
Yeah,
who's a pretty important character in the book. He's kind of just this clumsy squire. I forget what his name is. They haven't really done anything, which I'm surprised they haven't built him up. Because he ended up.
I didn't recognize him. I just saw this short little stout guy and stabbed that guy through the head.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Kingsguard just comes over and slashes him. Tyrion looks at him and gives him a little smile, like, "Hey, this is going good, right?" And then the guy just fucking swipes at him.
Yeah, swipes right at his face. It was hard to tell, but it's pretty much just a cut on his cheek, right?
But it seemed to affect him a lot more. Like, he was falling on the ground, like, getting all hazy and stuff.
Yeah.
It was weird.
Maybe he's just an imp. So
maybe, who knows?
He's a dwarf. Maybe it just affects him more. But, I don't know where that came from. I don't know. And you said you looked up something on that?
Well, I did some research. Apparently in the book, Joffrey, after being taken away from the battle, met with Cersei.
Is this a spoiler, though, or is it...
It might be a spoiler. It's just, according to the book. I mean, obviously there's spoiler alerts in the show, and according to people online, it's apparently a plot by Joffrey.
Do you think we're supposed to know this already, though? Or?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just speculating, really, of what people are saying. But, yeah, it might be a plot. If not, I'm sure it'll probably be revealed next episode.
Yeah.
If it is true.
I feel like they do that a few times where you're like...
like, what the fuck
because you don't know the book, and you're just like, oh, we're supposed to wait to find an answer to that. It just baffles you. And then later on they talk about it, and it doesn't really connect the dots very well.
No, you might have... Because there's so many plots going on, you almost forget it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and let's talk about Stannis this episode. He kind of just ridiculous, out of control.
Yeah, he goes relentless, I guess. I don't know how else to describe him. Just
at some point, you respect him because he's a king and he's actually doing most of the fighting. But at the same time, it's like if this guy dies, what about, like, apparently he has this army of 100,000 people plus Renly's army. It's like, what are they going to do if Stannis dies, Mm-hmm. I mean, then his right hand died, right?
Oh, I don't think we know for sure. He got blown off his ship.
I'm pretty sure, because we haven't seen him since.
Right, but it was just this episode.
Yeah, we don't know, but
his son probably died. That was his son that started off the episode, too, I think, with him, the Onion Knight, talking to that guy on the boat, and he was giving out orders. I'm pretty sure he died because he looked like he was right into the fire, but I'm not sure about the Onion Knight. He looked like he just got blown into the water. Yeah. So we'll find out about that next episode.
And then going back to the dog, how it was his kind of episode, it was also kind of Cersei's episode too.
Yeah, she was
crazy.
Really crazy.
Just crazy, rambling. I think she was drunk.
She's getting her drink on. She's been doing that all season, I think. Yeah. I feel like she's
definitely not happy with it.
I thought she's been doing a pretty good job just as an actress, acting like a drunk
asshole.
Yeah, and
she gets to the point where she is basically being highly selfish, taking Joffrey off the battlefield, just being a mother, and then basically almost killing her youngest son before the episode ends. But then that's when the whole reveal comes, because after Tyrion gets cut, the battle seems lost for the Lannisters or the Baratheon crew. I don't know how. Like the King's Landing people were defending it, and then all of a sudden Tyrion Lannister comes on with the Tyrells.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Tyrells.
Yep.
Yeah. So then they saved the day. So.
Yeah. I didn't connect the dots that would even be possible for them to come in time. But there was something else I wanted to mention. Yeah, it's just about Cersei, that she's kind of all over the place now, like talking about how she might be planning to kill Tyrion when a few episodes ago they had kind of a heart-to-heart.
Yeah, it's been a weird relationship between the two. Like, they have these moments where they're actually, acting like a brother and sister, and then there's moments where they just want to kill each other.
And then the
whore situation too.
And then the craziest thing where she takes the poison. I'm not sure if it's poison or not, but it's like basically poison. So
Yeah.
she's thinking about giving it to one of her sons.
So you won't be killed.
Right.
It's just weird.
It was just, I don't know. She's kind of going out there as a character. And I feel like she might be heading to her doom soon. I don't know.
I kind of want it to happen. I just want her dead.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I feel about most women in shows. Let's. So great episode of Game of Thrones. Hopefully they can find a way to sum it up and not, just rush the finale next week, and we'll see what happens.
Do you think? What do you think was more rewarding, that episode, the epic battle, or tying up all these plot lines? Hopefully next week.
God. We'll have to see how it goes. That's something next week I think we can review. But
yeah.
I'm happy with the episode. It was different, and I applaud them for taking a risk. Let's move on to something we haven't really talked about at all, because we've been nerds and talking about TV shows the entire time. Let's show our expert or non-expert status on sports. NBA playoffs. We're a little biased because we're Celtics fans and they're still in it. But we both watched the Spurs Thunder game last night and the Celtics Heat game tonight. So now, instead of just, speculating on the first round before it even happened, we got a little taste of game one action, yeah. And now we can, give you a better feel of what we see is going on in this finals.
Yeah. How do you want to do it? You want to just go right with...
Let's talk about Spurs
okay.
Thunder. Going into this, both and I thought, people were really underestimating the Thunder. This is a team that's, I think they've lost one game in the playoffs, and they beat defending champion Mavericks, who are a great team. They just got a little cold in the playoffs, and they beat the Los Angeles Lakers, who were never an easy opponent.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got the Spurs, who are beating the Utah Jazz, a team that an 8 seed that limps into the playoffs. Barely made it because the Suns kind of fizzled off at the end of the season. And then they beat
the Clippers. Injured Chris Paul.
And injured Chris Paul and Blake
Griffin, who I think's overrated.
That's
he was injured a little bit too.
Yeah. Granted, there's sweeps and this is the playoffs and no games are easy, but certainly easier opponents for the Spurs. And we went into the game thinking, the Thunder, I think they're going to win the series, and I think they're going to make a statement in game one, but that's not how it was. The Spurs are a good team. They seem to match up well with every opponent.
Yeah, I think if that game was at Oklahoma City wins by 10, just because of that fourth quarter, the Spurs just dominated.
39 points
in the fourth quarter. Looking at the stats at halftime, I was convinced that Oklahoma City was going to win just because they didn't get to the line as much as they usually do.
No.
And they didn't shoot as well as they usually do. So, third quarter, they came out and they dominated, I thought. And
that's when I finally grasped the lead because they've been kind of trailing through the game.
Yeah, it was
close.
It was close. They ended up going into the halftime with a 1-point lead.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I personally...
I just felt like the Spurs controlled the game
mm-hmm.
until the third quarter.
And I just think the Spurs' biggest advantage in any series is just their team.
Well, they're a team. They don't have a star player. You got Tim Duncan and Tony Parker, but even last night, I feel like none of them really,
Manu stuck out the most because he shot pretty well from three.
Yeah.
And he even said it after the game. He said he hasn't scored like that all season.
Yeah.
And coming off the bench and get Manu versus James Harden is a pretty good series.
Yeah, it's a great series to watch, and it's not like you said they're a team, and they're probably the best coach in basketball right now, Popovich, who just they don't die. This is a team that's old. It might be the oldest team in the league. I don't know who's older than the Celtics. But
Celtics.
They don't show their age, especially this year.
Yeah, Duncan's showed a little bit, but Popovich is so good at just
running the team.
Yeah, running the team and saving his guys for the playoffs and still coming in with the 1 seed, which is pretty amazing. He
actually sat players, we're going to sit these players with the condensed schedule. It's so smart. And, people were criticizing him for him. It's the regular season. They're going to have the 1 seed. Fuck it. Who cares? Sit them.
Yeah.
You're making arguments about, the fans aren't going to be able to see the players. Do you want to see a regular season game or do you want to see the championship?
Mm-hmm. Do you after that game one, who do you have winning the series?
I still have the Thunder, but I think it's going to be a lot tougher than I thought it was going to be.
I feel like the Spurs stole that from the Thunder more than anything. It might be because I'm a little biased, because I was just so on the Thunder just going into the game because I just didn't see the Spurs.
I thought they were a lot more explosive.
I didn't think they were going to be able to match up with the Durant, Westbrook, and none of them really had a great game.
No one on the Thunder had a great game.
Yeah.
Except for Derek Fisher.
Derek Fisher did have a good game.
That guy just comes out of nowhere.
So
he's 38 years old, something like that. It's out of control. But yeah, so let's that's a great series. We'll keep in touch with that.
Mm-hmm.
But going back to our expertise of the Celtics going against the Heat tonight, and I think you followed the first half. You kind of missed a little bit of it, but
a little bit, yeah.
I mean, I'm just upset at the refs because it was ridiculous in the first half.
Yeah,
five technicals.
5 technicals the whole game, but it was before the fourth quarter. So,
yeah, it was just bad reffing.
I don't know how they're going to match up with the Heat. Just LeBron and Dwayne Wade getting all the shots that they want. So
yeah. It's not even that. Like, there's a couple good defensive plays. Like, they're just making their shots. I mean, that shot Dwayne Wade had off that back foot. Like, come on, that was pretty decent defense.
Yeah, it was. But if Dwayne Wade can get that shot anytime he wants, and if he can hit it,
yeah,
it's game over.
And plus, the Celtics cannot shoot right now, except for Kevin Garnett.
Yeah, no one can shoot. I think the biggest problem is they are all injured. Ray Allen's ineffective. I think if Avery Bradley is able to play right now, he's going to be playing.
Yeah,
30 minutes at least. Because I feel like Pierce and Allen need to be out there on the court to spread out the floor even more. Because Pierce doesn't take contested threes. He's going to take an open three.
Yeah. Although he hasn't had a couple of moments this playoffs where he's just shot in people's eye.
Yeah.
When he's on fire.
Mm-hmm.
He's had a couple of those moments. But yeah, I mean, it just seems like no one is stepping up except for Kevin Garnett. Rondo is supposed to be the guy running this team, and he hasn't had one of those prolific moments in the past couple of games. I mean, he had a triple-double in the Game 7 Sixers, but that was kind of overlooked because he had 7 turnovers at the same time. He didn't really step up until the fourth quarter until Pierce got fouled out.
I do feel like people give Rondo a hard time, though. You can't be a point guard and not have players around you.
No, definitely. It's not all his fault.
He's not Chris Paul. He doesn't get his own shot. These shots are layups, and if he's forcing layups, he's going to get blocked. You saw it a couple times tonight. LeBron just throwing his shot into the stands.
Yeah.
He needs people around him, and when he has people around him, he's amazing. But
when your team's shooting 30%, there's not much you can do.
Yeah,
it's 30% in the second half.
It's been bad all playoffs, really.
It's so many injuries, and going forward, how do you think they're going to do?
I don't think they're going to win the series.
No.
If they have Avery Bradley and Chris Bosh is out for the Heat, I think it can go to at least 6 games.
Yeah.
Because Avery Bradley just meant so much. If the Celtics are completely healthy, I think the series is about as close as it gets. Even if not, Celtics win.
I think Celtics win because they had them in the regular season. And, it's not like those are the game. It's not like a regular season game where people are slacking off. I mean, these two teams compete because they don't like each other.
And the Heat don't have an inside presence. It's not like you're scared of Haslam
or Ronnie Turioff.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, I think the Celtics just have a better team than the Heat when they're healthy, and that's just been the key. And it's just been so frustrating to watch because you know what they're capable of, but these injuries are just destroying them.
Yeah, I would like to see. They gotta have someone in there to protect the rim. They're taking Kevin Garnett. They had Kevin Garnett covering Mike Miller for a little bit. Yeah. That's not a good matchup. Mike Miller can't run around, but he can just sit there and hit a 3 if he's open. And Kevin Garnett was trying to go towards the basket and help on defense, but
only so much you can do.
Doc's got to change something up going in, and I think they're going to pull out a game soon because of Doc. Because I do like Doc, but hopefully you can figure something out where you get the matchups where they want, frustrate LeBron and Dwayne Wade where the offense just stalls. I like that zone they're running. And
but
they were settling for shots from Chalmers and stuff in the corner. I'll take that all day.
Yeah, I've never seen Chalmers at a baseline 3.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's going to be a tough series to watch. I mean, because of all the injuries, but hopefully they can pull off at least a couple games and make it exciting. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have on the CNC Connection. We'll be on either sometime this week or next week. Probably discuss some NBA playoffs and Game of Thrones and Mad Men.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing really coming up so far as other shows, but
yeah,
we can do some other stuff.
Just to keep an eye out, we're probably going to do Breaking Bad later this summer.
Yep, and what's it called? Hell on Wheels.
Hell on Wheels.
That's coming in August.
It may be.
That'll be a fun podcast to do.
Yeah. I don't know how many people watch that show, though.
No.
So we'll see. But also, if you want to contact our show, you can email us at theccconnection@gmail.com. No spaces, obviously. Just theccconnection@gmail.com.
And if you want to reach me on Twitter, it's JensRPro. You can ask us some questions during the games, and maybe we'll answer them in the podcast, or even TV shows, too.
Uh-huh.
And, so yeah, JensRPro. Alright, guys, we'll see you next time.